Hey there, everyone. It is 8 a.m. Saturday morning, July 25th, and this is where I spend up to an hour with you just answering your weekly questions. Again, we put out some daily financial news, already done that video today, and now we spend an hour kind of answering your questions, 2 full pages today. Thank you for that. Know that if you want to feel like you're getting mentored by me or have me interact with you real time, the only thing I offer, because I value my time, I don't have to do this, is I offer that online course called How to Get Started One Rental at a Time. It's only $199. Yes, it is that cheap on purpose because I want to help the most people climb this curve of wealth creation, financial freedom, whatever you want to call it. It has done really well for me and my family. So I'm trying to help the most people I can. But what comes with that is access to a private Facebook group just for students. And what I do every Saturday at 9 a.m., so after this is over, we get online and we just interact. You ask me questions. Every week, I think we've been doing it 10 or 11 weeks now. They're all recorded. You can go back and watch them. But if you want to feel like you're interacting with me and ask me specific questions about your deals, that's as close as you're going to get to one-on-one mentoring with me. I don't want to carve up my week. I don't want to sell $1,000 hours. I don't want to only help the top 1%. That's not where I come from. I don't feel comfortable there. So there it is. If you want to get mentored by me or feel like you're interacting with me directly, the best thing is the course. The course gets you in the Facebook group and we'll talk or interact every Saturday. All right, so without further ado, that little commercial, we will talk. One sec, my dog is giving me a problem. Hey, buddy, come here. Have a seat. We're going to talk for an hour, okay? Good job. He's old. His hips don't work very well. You have to help him sit down. All right, so question. Does any real estate pain occur in 2020? First off, I thought that was a pretty astute question. I think what we have seen that we've been talking about this every day, right? The daily financial news, and it's really evolved. If you go back and watch some of the discussions from March or April, it's very different than June and July. Because again, we talk every day, right? That's the beauty of doing an everyday video. I don't really think there is much real estate pain this year. I think they're doing everything they can and then some, frankly, to delay pain in the real estate, specifically single family market. And I don't think there'll be really any real pain, even in commercial, yes, including hotels, including retail this year, right? Those are bigger transactions. There's workout periods, there's extend and pretend, everybody knows that this crisis is hopefully once in a lifetime, hopefully once in a century. So no, I do not expect pain. If pain equals good deals, right? That's usually what people mean. They're salivating at missing 2010 and they want to jump in now. So I do not believe there will be any great mass opportunity this year. There'll be things here and there that come up, and there always is in real estate. That's the beauty of learning your market, is you can always find that one odd situation. But no, I don't think there'll be any great pain in 2020. That said, I think there will be there'll be some pain outside of real estate that will impact real estate pain in 2021. And it's important to watch this preceding pain because it will tell you how bad the future pain will be. That's just how I tie all these things together. So, first and foremost, I believe we are starting to see this second ripple impact in job losses. One of the things that I am watching for big time is these tech companies that start to report, these bigger companies start to report, are they announcing job cuts? Nike did, I think it just last week. Wynn Resorts obviously did last week. I think we are about to see high income earners who have been, for the most part, spared pain of job loss. I think it's coming. I think it is coming, and it is going to come in the second half. The question is how much, how fast, and how big. I'm watching for that. I don't feel good, but I'm watching for it. I'd love to be wrong. Let's be clear. The worst part of my job as a senior leader the last 20 years or whatever it was looking at a spreadsheet and deciding who I had to cut. Right? These are my friends and coworkers who I'd worked with sometimes for decades. I am so thankful not to have to make those choices. It ate me alive. The second thing that is going to happen is I believe rent collection in multifamily is going to fall. I believe they have successfully extended or delayed pain, with many people, including myself, reporting rent collections over 95%. I do not think that continues. And I think in some areas it falls precipitatively. Precipitatively? Whatever, a lot. Whatever. Falls a lot. I have coffee today, so just in case anybody's wondering. But yeah, I think rent collection goes down in multifamily, in some areas a lot. I think the eviction moratoriums in most places finally get undone, and we see that. I think the second half is going to be more painful for tenants. I think that is where some pain starts. So again, the original question, is there really any real estate pain, meaning can I buy something cheap? I don't think so. But I think it starts with what happens in the second half. Are there job losses in the high end? Does that cause jumbo loans to go bust? Does that cause something else to happen in high income areas? And then do rent collections fall? I would have never guessed I had rent collections over 95%. I think there's a video on this channel of me preparing for 75%. I think we're about to see what happens. And I don't expect it to be good. And then again, you watch this in the second half, and that tells you what opportunity we have in 2021. I don't feel good saying that, but that's my opinion, so I don't know what else to say. All right, that's enough of that one. I got a fun question. What if you got a stimulus check? Let's be clear. I did not get a stimulus check. I did not get the $1,200. Didn't get it. Don't qualify. But if you did, what would you buy, gold or silver? I assume what this person is talking about, would I buy gold bullion or silver bullion? I'd buy silver. I've always preferred silver to gold. The problem is when you buy a lot of it, where do you store it, right? It's just in mass. But again, for $1,200, you can't even buy an ounce of gold. You get, what is it, $1,900 now? You probably $2,000 at a coin shop. I'd buy silver. I can't remember the last time I would have bought anything but silver. There was a one time where palladium was cheaper than, or platinum was cheaper than palladium, I think. I bought platinum then. But again, the question was gold or silver. I'd buy silver. Figure with $1,200 you can buy 50, maybe 60 ounces. So that's what I would buy. That was a fun question. Next, do investors move into their investment house for 2 years and then sell to save on taxes? There's a creative question. So if you don't know this, I believe this is still true. If you live in the home as your primary for 2 out of the last 5 years, you qualify to take up to 250 grand as a single tax-free or 500 grand as a couple. So I believe that's what this investor's question is. And I have heard some investors do that. I won't. There's I mean, I don't mean this to sound bad, but it's the truth. I would not live in any of my rental homes. I don't live in the city where I invest, so it doesn't apply to me. But yeah, there are a few people that I've known over the years that will move into their investment house for 2 years to sell it. It's there. That tax incentive or loophole or whatever it's called, whatever you want to call it for, is is there. I met one couple who does that on purpose. Every 2 years, it's basically a live-in flip. They buy a really expensive home, and then they spend 2 years remodeling it one room at a time, and then they sell it. And they've been doing that for a while. It's in the Silicon Valley, so you can get a good return. But yeah, I mean, up to 500 grand tax free. That's a nice payday. So it does happen. I don't think it happens as much as you might think, though. Next, where do you see rent growth going? Just in case you're not aware, I've talked about this a little bit on the channel. We didn't see any rent growth, or I didn't see any rent growth. It's kind of like 2003 till 2014-ish, 2015-ish. Rent was really flat. Maybe it was up 3 or 4 or 5% that entire time. And then we saw some really big jumps. So that's where this question came from. This person had clearly watched the channel a while. So I do not see any rent growth this year. I think it will be flat going in. We did have some rent increases January through March, but it's going to be flat for the rest of the year. But I actually expect rents to pick up next year, at least in markets that are growing. Here's the deal. I believe the rush to the suburbs is bigger and faster than anyone anticipates, and there's not enough housing. So first, housing is going to go up in price, which we're seeing seemingly every day. And then second, rents will follow. Now, of course, just so we're clear, big cities, rents will fall, right? Rents are going to go down, San Francisco, New York. But I think the rush to the suburbs is real. There's a question about that later here somewhere. I think it's going to be a real trend. I think it's at least years in the making. I think it is easiest to see the uptick in real estate values, which is already happening. And I think we'll see some of that in Case Shiller's report next week. But yeah, I think rents will follow. We are seeing a structural change in housing. We were built for city living, and now this is causing people to leave. And as of today, the infrastructure is not ready for all the people that want to go. So supply and demand means values go up and rents go up. That's what I think. I think housing values will go up faster than rents, just because interest rates are so low. So that's that question. The same person asked, what about Fresno specifically? So let me give you an example. So today I have a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, fully remodeled. Probably gets me $1,350, $1,350. I could see by the end of 2021, so 18 months, it's $1,500. So what is that? It's about 10%, in a year and a half. I think it could happen because there's just not that many affordable homes, and I think the population was already growing, and I think it grows more. Right? You can live in Fresno for 60 grand a year. Just think about the tech workers who want to stay in California, but they can work anywhere. Man, Fresno could see an influx of 6-figure earners in a heartbeat. So we'll see. Is it possible to be an ethical investor without sacrificing long-term reserve or long-term gains? Wow. There's a lot implied in that question. First thing that I read in that, and I've read that question a few times, because you never know. There's always a question behind the question, or not always, but many times there's a question behind the question. And I think this one comes from the angle of, I don't know, greed is good, You gotta cut corners to win. Um, yeah, I don't I don't I don't believe that I don't believe that happens in real estate. I believe people that cut corners, that do things unethical, eventually get caught in real estate. Real estate investing is a people business. It's not like stocks where you can sit behind the screens, you can throw out a misleading tweet, you can get people to rush in and do all of that. Um, Real estate investing is first and foremost a people business. And if you're going to be in this for the long term, and I consider long term decades, you won't survive if you're not ethical. You may have a couple of good years if you're unethical or you cut corners or you lie or steal or cheat, but you won't be in this business long term. You will just become a pariah. The only answer is you have to bounce around. You probably have to leave the city you reside in because people just hate you and call you out, and it's just uncomfortable to even go get cups of coffee. So yeah, I think it is very possible to be an ethical investor and have long term gains. I frankly think it's the only way to go. Um, Again, I might be reading too much into this question, but hey, it's my answer. Well, another question from somebody who's done a few BRRRR projects, right? Buy, rehab, rent, refi, repeat. Basically, hey, why you talk about turnkey when you can do BRRRR projects and basically get in and out with no net cash? Well, first off, I have leveraged BRRRR. I love BRRRR. Uh, I think there are markets where it's easier to do it, right? Up markets like we saw from 15 to 19. And then I think there are markets that are hard to do it in. And that's when lending is tight. Um, Appraisals on refis are not aggressive. So in the end, if you can do BRRRR projects, go for it. If you can do them successfully, they're just a lot harder today than they were 5 years ago. In addition, I get so many people talking about BRRRR projects that live in one state and want to do it in another state and have never done it and don't have teams. Not likely, especially if you're a working professional. The general contractor will rip you off. It's just what I think. Um, of you do this channel long enough, you get to hear stories from folks. Most of the negative stories I hear about are BRRRR projects gone wrong, and most of those are about people doing it out of state. So I I think BRRRR projects are possible. I think they can happen. I think they are much harder and much riskier than than the books make it seem. Bigger Pockets has a slant. They want to sell books. They want you to go to your events, and they want to make it seem easy. I have none of that, and I'm here to tell you that if you can do it, go for it. It's not for my audience, right? I'm talking to full-time employees, professionals who bust their ass during the day like I did, and it's not something I could do. Not while I was working. So, my opinion. Oh, this was a fun question. Obviously, we've been talking about Vegas for a little while. It's sort of the epicenter of where I think pain is. Um, what if Vegas institutes state income tax to replace gaming revenue? How is that for a head scratcher? So I saw a Vegas interview from a local politician. I think it was the mayor. I think it was the mayor. And he said gaming revenue is down 97 point something percent. That's a lot. So I thought that was an interesting question. I'd never thought about that. Vegas will have a budget shortfall if they're counting on gaming revenue for a significant part of their tax collection. I just don't see them instituting a state income tax this quickly. I mean, I guess it could happen, but I would assume that has to go through policies and procedures and voting and all of that. I can't imagine them instituting that. But if it did, it would become less attractive to live there. I think that's an obvious thing. I just don't think local economies move that fast. But I could be wrong. I don't. I mean, the only thing I can think of is the oil shock that hit. I don't think Texas changed any of their income taxes because of that when that happened, but we'll see. Here's a question: what asset class, is I think what they're talking about? Yeah, asset class is in the most trouble. Class A or Class C? That is that is a question I think about a lot. Historically speaking, Class C is always in more pain than Class A. Class A tenants have more reserves, they can change jobs, they can do all of those things. And there's definitely some of that today. But I don't think Class A is going to be the safe spot it has been historically. I think Class A has enjoyed a couple of years of strong growth because millennials went that way. They didn't want to own. They wanted flexibility. They wanted amenities. They wanted this. They wanted that. I believe we are seeing a structural change in that mindset. And if I'm right, and if it happens as fast and as big as I think it will, I believe Class A is going to be it'll be in as much trouble as Class C. Class A does have a luxury because you can always lower rents. But Class A, that's the stuff that gets built. So it's going to be interesting. But I guess I'll say that I think Class C is probably Class C is in more short-term pain. As we said in the very first question, I think Class C is about to have rent collection problem. So I think Class C feels it first, but I don't think Class A, using historical metrics, is going to be the same safe haven it's been in every other economic recession. I think this time's different. I just do. All right, here's another one. Why do you talk about 4 rentals as a goal? Well, kind of a story, I guess. So over the years, the wife and I have told our story at various real estate meetups and events and conferences. And in the beginning, we thought people wanted to hear about how ordinary people built portfolios of hundreds of units, one at a time. And while those presentations were all fun and you get the pats on the back and people taking pictures and all of that, it didn't get the reaction that I wanted. Right? I could hear people say, good for them, but we can't do it. Or good for them, they got lucky. Or good for them, whatever. So what I took from that experience after doing it a few times is it's not causing the action that I wanted, right? I don't give these presentations because I want lots of people to clap for me. That's ridiculous. I do that because I want to help people climb the mountain of at least a better financial future, if not financial independence. So I had to change. I had to make the goal, the message, something that was attainable. And I first picked 4 because when I created that goal, it was easy to get 4 loans, right? It's attainable. everybody, there's never been anybody I met that says they can't get 4 units in 4 to 8 years. So that's why 4. It's actionable. Every presentation I go to, we talk about 4. We don't talk about hundreds. If you get to 4, I often say, great, let's talk about getting to 10. But that's where it stops for me. I'm not doing this every day for any other reason than I want it to be better for you. So that's why I talk about 4, because it's attainable. People get it. Frankly, getting to 4, you'll figure out if you like it or not. You know, you'll figure it out. So that's why 4. I think so far, and I feel really good about this, is it causes action. When I go to these events now, and just like I did yesterday, I did a dry run. You have the presentation on this channel. I think I did the dry run in like 20 minutes. The actual presentation was an hour. Yeah, so that's why 4. All right, on to page 2. Get this question almost every week. What do I do if I have no money? Okay, one time for the folks in the back of the room. If you have no money, you need to figure out a way to become valuable to people with money. What I would tell you to do, just like last week, there was a gentleman, I think it was from India, asked a similar question. I think he was 16, if I remember. What I would tell you is take the 75-day hard challenge and learn your darn market. The 75-day hard real estate challenge on this channel is its own dedicated playlist. I think it's 8 or 9 videos. Go do some hard work. Stop YouTube University and hoping for a miracle. Get off your butt and go look at some real estate. Learn your market better than anybody else, and then sell that skill experience to people with money. Money is not going to fall on your head just because you want it, just because you tell people you're a real estate investor. We look for history, we look for track record. And if you do the 75-day hard challenge, which is 100% free, you're going to know your market and you'll have something that's marketable. So yeah, hopefully that one sticks. Here's a good one. What if the US mirrors Japan and rate stays near 0 for 15 years plus? Well, I think there's a pretty good chance that could happen. It's one of the outcomes that is possible. I don't know that I would say it's probable just yet, but it's certainly possible. I think real estate values reset to that reality. And I think it is, that means low rates for a long time. I think there's an artificial adjustment in values and rents. And I think hard assets win. I think if interest rates stay at this level for a long time, savings, you'll have to save elsewhere, and it won't be a savings or money market account. I think hard assets will win. I think commodities will have their day in the sun, but I think hard assets that are tax efficient and produce income will win. I think real estate wins if that happens. I think the more you own, the better off it will be, because I think there will be some consumer price increases as well. Yeah, so I think it's likely. I think it's certainly an outcome we should look for, and I just don't know how real estate investments, buy and hold, landlording doesn't win in that environment. Certainly could be wrong, but that's what I think. Next question, I get this a couple of times. Did I leverage a self-directed IRA? The answer is no. I've not leveraged a self-directed IRA. I chose instead to cash out my 401k every time. It's not something I advise anyone else to do because it's a huge tax penalty involved. But that's what I did, so I can't hide it. I do not have a self-directed IRA. No, don't have a Roth. I don't have anything in stocks. So can't help you there. I know people that have self-directed IRAs and have done quite well, but that is not an area where I have experience. I am sorry. Next question is, how do you work with your general contractors when you are working on a junk project? I really think this question was about how do you manage that relationship? And the GC, the contractor investor relationship, is the one that takes a lot of work. And you go through a lot of frogs to find the prince, to use a fairy tale analogy. And even when you find a prince, sometimes that prince becomes a frog because of life events. I don't have any good answers. There's no magic pill. There's no magic question. It takes constant communication. It takes communication from the contractor as well. One thing that you see on this channel is I post probably twice a week a 1-minute video of some project I'm working on. That is actually my general contractor sending me a video of his work. Every week I get at least 2, if not 3 videos about what's going on. And oh, by the way, we talk Monday or Sunday, depending on when we want to talk, about what's coming up. So I know what to expect, and then I get the videos usually Tuesday, Friday. So I manage my contractor. He expects it. We communicate on money. We send out payments as work completed. I do give him a little money up front to buy supplies, but after that, it's when work's completed. It takes work, communication from both sides, expectation management, and constant communication. I probably talk with him every day on average, right? There'll be some days I don't, and then some days I talk to him twice. And he knows what I expect, right? So we have a cadence. It takes work. It takes work. Next, how long will the race to the suburbs go on, right? Leaving the cities to the suburbs. I think that is $1 million question. I think a lot of that will rely on employers. Do employers continue the work anywhere mindset, which I live in the Silicon Valley, and 90% of my friends have all told me their employer said you can work from anywhere. I probably have 10 to 15% of my friends already telling me they're leaving. They're out of here. Already. And it's been weeks. They're like, I'm done. I'm out of this crazy place. I think that continues. But what I mean by employers, do they keep that? Are they still saying that next July? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. So that's one thing we have to watch. If they continue to say that next July, this is a real trend. The other thing, again, employers, is, do employers take the same mindset? That's the big one, right? Twitter, let's just pick on Twitter. Jack Dorsey was the first guy to say, at least the first one that I remember saying, hey, work from anywhere. Don't come to the San Francisco office. Get out of here. Does Twitter and Jack Dorsey say, you know what? We're going virtual. We're going to cancel our leases in San Francisco, and I'm going to headquarter in some tax-friendly state. That could happen. That could happen. The Silicon Valley could lose lots of tax revenue if employers leave. So this question about, is this a 2 to 3 year trend or a 10-year trend, is 100% about the employers. 100%. I think it's at least a 2 to 3 year trend. I can say that today. And I won't know about, is this a 10-year kind of transformational change until late next year. It's all about the employers. Do they bring people back? Do they leave? Do employers leave do the employers leave as well? Lots of stuff to figure out. Okay. Top pro and con for someone buying turnkey properties out of state. Well, let me be clear about turnkey providers out of state. Number one is you need to investigate that turnkey provider far more than you investigate the market. Most people do this wrong, in my opinion. Most people go find a market they like, and then they select the first turnkey provider in that market. That is ass backwards. There are some horrible turnkey providers out there. Dishonest, all kinds of bad stuff, and you can look them up. So what I recommend is you investigate the turnkey provider first and then figure out what markets they're in. That is my pro and my con. Investigate the provider first, then the markets they are in. That would be my recommendation. I'll leave that one there. Oh, here was an interesting question. I read this one and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody's asking me this question. Okay, so what are your thoughts on upgrading your primary residence? Basically, this individual lives in a home worth 500 grand and they want to upgrade to $1 million house. The first thing I could think is this person has not read my book. What was the key to our financial freedom? That we suffered. We never upgraded our primary residence. We bought a townhouse, I don't know, whatever, townhouse, I guess, in 99 and never left. We could have upgraded 5 times. If you upgrade your primary residence, you're increasing your monthly nut. You are doing exactly the opposite of what I teach and talk about. So go read my book. I'm not saying don't upgrade. Who am I to tell you what to do with your primary residence? But if you're asking me, where's the sacrifice in upgrading your home? Yeah, that's not a question I expected. I'm like, I thought I've killed that one. I thought I've made that clear. If you want to get on a financial freedom, you need to sacrifice, live below your means. And going from a 500K house to $1 million house may feel good. I've told you about the time I was pulled over while driving home from another housewarming party a couple of times. I get it. I understand why it's attractive. I do not think that's a good idea. But I'm an investor. I'm not. If you want to buy $1 million house, go for it. Read my book. Jeez, my goodness. Here's another one. When do you pay off your mortgages? I get this question a lot from Dave Ramsey fans. Dave Ramsey, I think, provides great advice for paying off bills, emergency budgets. All of those things are awesome, and I think he's very, very helpful. But he also offers some of the worst real estate investing advice I've ever heard. So go figure. I do not believe as you are growing your portfolio, you should be focused on paying off your rental properties. You certainly should have positive cash flow. You certainly should be conservatively financed. You can't bet on appreciation. You must have 30-year fixed rate debt. All of those things must. But it's not about paying off debt. You're trying to build a base into an inflationary environment where rents and values will go up. When you pay off, in my opinion, is when you're getting close to being done, right? You're about to exit, leave your day job. You want to have less stress, all of those things. So what we did is, we sold some stuff, paid off some stuff. We refied some stuff, paid off other stuff. So I do see value in paying off mortgages. I call it the O blank portfolio. Right? Just in case the world ends, we have stuff free and clear. We certainly do. But I don't think you buy one and then you spend 10 years paying it off and then buy another one. I mean, that's the slow and silly way to do it, in my opinion. Thoughts on lease options? I'm a fan. I've not done one. I had thought earlier this year lease options would become very popular, but again, we have successfully stretched pain into the future. So I think lease options will become more prevalent next year. It is certainly something I look to add to my experience. I've not done one, so I have no experience. I follow a gentleman named Pace, Pace, Morby, Morby, I think. He does a lot of these. He's a creative investor. I've had him on this channel twice, I believe. So I follow him. If you want lease option stuff, go to Pace Morby. There are absolutely others out there. I just don't know others. I unfortunately have no experience other than to say I think lease options are a skill set I want to add. There you go. I don't talk politics a lot, but we might as well bring this one up because I got this 6 or 7 times this week alone. What do you think about the talks from Joe Biden eliminating the 1031 exchange? First off, this is not a new idea. Lots of past presidents and proposed presidents have had this idea. I do not think it is likely. A lot of politicians have their wealth in real estate. I do not see them sacrificing their wealth for their greater good. I just don't. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. I do believe that if this was ever to be eliminated, it could be in an environment like we are in today. We are spending money like crazy. And we got to pay for it eventually. So it is possible. I also don't want to hear from people saying this is a red or blue or a left or right thing. Yes, Biden said it this week, I believe. But let's not forget, Trump brought it up in 2016 as a possibility as well. So I don't want to hear people yelling left or right. I do think real estate, if there's a change at the executive branch, real estate investors, you and I, we're gonna pay more taxes. I don't think that is out of the realm of possibilities. If there's a change, real estate investors are going to pay more taxes. And we'll just have to figure it out. We'll have to roll with the punches. Housing is it goes water, food, housing. So I still think rental housing will be important. It'll just be different. That's what I think. What's up? Thoughts on the election? Man, we're getting a lot of political questions. I think this election is going to come down to the economy and consumers. I don't know why it changes. There's never been a president that I'm aware of that was elected during a recession, or reelected during a recession. So, but again, I think it often comes down to the consumer. Is the consumer fearful or hopeful? I think most elections come down to that. Do I feel better about today or tomorrow than I did 4 years ago? If you feel better today than you did 4 years ago, you probably vote for the guy that's in there. If you feel worse, you probably go kick that bum out. I want somebody new. I think an election during a pandemic is bad timing, but yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. And I don't think the election's decided yet. I think we'll know a lot more come September, October, right? Where's the real economy? Does unemployment go from what was it, 11.1 a month ago to 15? Oh, no chance at re-election if that happens, right? The economy's going backwards, no chance. Does the unemployment go from 11.1 to 8? Maybe a decent chance to be reelected. I think it's that simple. Do people feel better or worse than they did? I don't put much stock in the national polls. I think a lot of polls talk to people that don't vote. I mean, we saw that last election, right? So I don't put much stock in that. I really do think it comes down to fear and hope. And maybe I'm too simplistic. Yeah, I mean, that's how I'm going to cast my vote. Do I feel better than I did 4 years ago or not? And as of right now, I can't answer that question. So I'll let you know in November. Thoughts on Dave Ramsey? I think I covered that before. I think he provides tremendous advice for people in financial trouble. I think he provides a plan for people to feel like they're doing something. But I think he provides some of the worst real estate investing advice I've ever heard. So hopefully that came through. Do you see a once in a lifetime crash like 2008? The simple answer is no. 2008 was a single family real estate crash that will be hard to repeat because we essentially took 4 or 5% of renters, moved them to homeowners, which they shouldn't have been, and back. That's what happened. That's not happening today. There will certainly be short sales, there will certainly be foreclosures, but I actually think with the asset prices increasing that even some short sales and foreclosures won't happen because they'll just sell their home and they'll have a little bit of equity. So no, I do not see a once in a lifetime crash. I don't think that, certainly not in single family homes, not even next year. I think you could see a crash of epic proportions in malls and offices. I think there's an epic crash coming to San Francisco and New York City. But in general, it'll be nothing like 2008. 2008 was a time I hope we never see again. That was traumatic. Yeah, that was traumatic. How much involvement do I have in my tenant selection? How about absolutely zero? I do not want to be involved in any of those day-to-day operations. All I've done is I've created a box, and if the tenant hits all of those boxes, my property manager says yes. And if they miss one, the answer is no. Credit score, income, reference checks, yada, 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 the list goes on. So I have zero. I don't want to be involved, frankly. I don't want to know the tenants, and I don't want the tenants to know me. Not where I want to be. And the last question that I have is, what scares you more, deflation or inflation? That was an interesting question. I guess what I would say is neither scares me. Yeah, neither scares me. I'm not yeah, neither scares me. I may be concerned about inflation. I think deflation is a 2020 problem. I think we're experiencing it now. I think there is going to be a lot of deflation as we work through the supply of stuff that we are oversupplied in as things change. Think retail, clothing, things of that nature. I do not see deflation being a long-term. I don't see deflation in 2021, for example. I think inflation, just like we talked about earlier, rates staying low for 15 years like Japan, I think one possible but not probable outcome is we see inflation spike up north of 2%. I think that's at years from now. That could happen. But that doesn't really scare me. Again, why? Because I have 30-year fixed rate debt where possible. I have a huge asset base that is helped with inflation. So I'm sitting on stuff that's inflation protected. So I guess I'm concerned because of how it will impact others. But I consider inflation a good thing, frankly, right? It's helpful to an owner of real estate, and where rents are impacted. I have debt fixed and where rents can go up. I mean, when you have a lot, it's not a bad thing. So that's what I have. That's what I have for today. This is always fun for me. We're going to shut this down. We'll see if we get a whole bunch of thumbs up next week, and we'll do it again. I'm going to take a few minutes and then talk to my students at 9 o'clock. What time is it? Oh, 9 minutes. All right, everybody, take care of yourself. Have fun. Bye.